Hi, I'm Acting City Manager Ed Zerker, and welcome back to On the Job, the show where we talk to Phoenix City employees about the work they do every day to serve the community. The Phoenix Fire Department is one of the nation's largest and best fire departments. In addition to our professional firefighters and EMTs, there's a group of dedicated civilians who provide support services to those folks and to our residents. We're here today with the Crisis Response Team. Rose Escudero, member of the Crisis Response Team, thanks for joining us today. Tell us a little bit about how you got interested in being part of the Crisis Response Team.
Well, when I worked for the medical examiner's office before coming here, that's how I encountered the Crisis Response Team. They used to be on some of the scenes that I'd respond to, so I got to meet a lot of the folks that were there. When I left the medical examiner's office, I knew that there was something that I still wanted to do, to be involved with families, and this was something that I looked at. As I was, prior to that, while working for the medical examiners, unfortunately my family had a chance to deal with the Crisis Response Team. My mom had found her brother deceased, and one of our teams responded. And I'll never forget the impact that it had on my mom, because the one thing, she couldn't remember the name of the team, but the one thing that she always remembered was the people from the fire department in the red van.
The red
and
vans,
that
yes.
really stuck with her. So I knew, like I said, when I left the ME's office, that this is something I definitely needed to look into, and this is where I ended up.
So tell us a little bit about what the people in the red vans from the fire department or the Crisis Response Team, what do they do on a daily basis?
It varies. It depends on what type of calls there can be. We run house fires, we go to apartments fires, we can deal with domestic violence situations, strangulations. Sometimes it's just a matter of somebody needing a food box. Sometimes law enforcement will call us out because, they have somebody that calls 911 a lot for different reasons, or our fire departments call us out because they've got frequent callers that they're calling, and there's really no medical issue, or there's no reason for law enforcement to be involved. It's just a matter. Sometimes these people need other resources. Maybe they don't know. Maybe they need more than being able to live on their own. Maybe they need assisted living. We can help get them going with that. Sometimes they just need counseling resources, so we can provide them with different things like that. I mean, it just varies. We go from one extreme to another.
So it can be very short-term or even longer-term
Correct.
things. And talk a little bit about how you feel like your team supports the police officers and the firefighters. What's your role in that whole system?
Our role is to get them, the officers and the firefighters, back in service as soon as possible. And it's, statistics have shown that we are able to do that, because with us being able to respond, it allows our engines to go back in service. They don't have to stay on scene and try to work through the situation. As soon as we get there, they brief us on what's going on, and they can go back in service. The same with law enforcement. We have a lot more resources than they do, so we can, a lot of times they'll stay on scene with us, but if we're okay with being there and them not being there, we can let them go back in service, and it allows them to be out there taking care of other problems that might really need their assistance.
Well, so tell us about something that might have stuck with you. What's something that you've encountered that's been really meaningful to you in your job?
It would be a scene that we were just on this past Thursday. It was a house fire that we responded to, and unfortunately there was a family pet that didn't make it. Our firefighters tried everything they could, but weren't able to revive the dog. And what we were able to do for the homeowner, as this was like basically her child. She had no children, and so this dog was her world. We were able to contact Humane Society, who put us in contact with a program called PALS, and they were able to come out and retrieve the dog, and they were going to cremate the dog for the homeowner and return the ashes to her. And that was a huge feeling for us, because they were doing it on their own, on their own dime, no charge to the customer. So that was a huge feeling for us, because while she knew that her house was a total loss and she had lost a lot of things in the fire, she was more concerned about the dog, and that was her life. I mean, that's what she was focused on. So knowing that we were able to give that back to her, she was so thankful. I mean, when we left, she cried and she hugged us, and she just couldn't thank us enough for what we had done. So, that when you leave a scene like that, you know why you're doing this job. And that was something that stuck with my partner and I. We talked about it even after leaving the scene, because it was like, you really felt like you were able to accomplish something and do something for somebody. So, and that's a good feeling.
That's great. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You're very welcome.
And thank you for the work you do.
Thank you.
Our employees like Rose and our crisis response teams are a critical part of our public safety system, allowing our officers and firefighters to get back on the job and, as we heard, helping our residents. If you'd like to volunteer in a crisis response team, contact the number or the email address on your screen. For On the Job, I'm Acting City Manager Ed Zerker.